Today is one of those days where you try an experiment to see if it works and hopefully everything goes according to plan, but who knows. I found a toy one time in sand that was a kid's toy that had a magnet on it, one of those Thomas the Train things, and I noticed a lot of things actually grabbed onto the toy. So this is my way of actually just checking to see, hey, was it just a coincidence, or is there actually things in sand that's magnetic? This might be common knowledge to most people, I have no idea, but I had no idea, or at least didn't think it through, that there could be things in sand that are magnetic. So let's see what happens when you put a few rare earth magnets in sand and see the results here. All that stuff. I'm just going to collect a whole bunch of it. Not going to show you that because it's going to take probably a good hour to get a bunch. But I'm going to do a cool photo project with it. Hopefully it turns out well. But this is kind of neat to see that. To think what kids play in every day. You can literally just put a magnet in and you get all this black crap that comes out of it. Is kind of mind-blowing. It doesn't seem like it's dangerous or anything. It's probably just iron that's been... It's probably just iron bits that are in the sand, but it's really neat to see how quick and how easily they all come out. So one of the tricks I learned here is when you have the actual sand mixture with all the black stuff, you still get a lot of that sand. How do you get that sand out? It's actually very easy. Just take the magnet on the bottom of the container, and if you move that magnet around slowly, you'll see potentially all the black stuff there kind of sticking up like spikes. You just kind of shake a little bit there. So if you can see, the magnet's actually keeping most of the black stuff there as the sand is shaking down. So the sand will have a little bit of the black stuff, but the important part is most of the black stuff will stay with the magnet there, and that's the stuff we want. It's neat. There's my container so far. Not much of it, but we're going to do macro, so it should be enough to actually get a really cool effect with all the little spikes there. Another trick that's worth explaining is I use a Ziploc bag and then bring up all the black stuff with the sand, and then I take that magnet out of the Ziploc bag over top of the container, and that's what actually gets all the black stuff in the container really easily. If you use just a bare magnet, you're going to be there all day just trying to peel off the actual black stuff off the magnet. So definitely use a Ziploc bag, pull out the Ziploc bag, and then all the stuff will just simply fall into the container once it's no longer touching the magnet. This is a great thing, I think, to do with kids. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm surprised how much fun I'm having, and I'm definitely not in that kid category anymore, but this is definitely a cool thing you could show your kids, or just put a magnet in the sand and see what happens. I think they'd really enjoy it. Sometimes people think you need the most expensive setup in the world to take nice photos, but here I'm literally using a kid's shovel and a piece of Tupperware. That's it. I'm back from outside, and now I'm going to edit the photos, and you're going to see the process of why I chose the photos I did and how I'm going to crop them and all that. And I'll walk you through my thought process of the final photo. And yeah. So when I edit, I definitely like to go through all the photos I took first, see which ones I like, star anyone that I think has some promise, but I narrow it down very quickly. You can see how the yellow background pops out already more than that grayish background going through some of these photos. I crop it really tight at first to see the detail, making sure I got whatever I wanted in focus. So I mess around with the crop quite a lot on a lot of these photos, and then I end up narrowing it down to the photos I like the most based off of sharpness and clarity and what I can do with that photo. So I definitely am leaning more towards the yellow background photos than the first initial grayish photos I took. I haven't eliminated quite yet just because I'm not quite sure which ones I really like the most, but I definitely am leaning towards the yellow. After finding out which ones I like that are the sharpest, I start to crop out now. So I make sure everything's all sharp and detailed, and now I try to adjust it the way I want to see it. I like the look of everything. It almost reminds me of a Black-Eyed Susan, the way the black center and the yellow on the outside. So I'm kind of cropping it like that, so it almost looks like a flower, but you definitely know it's not because of all the spikes and the intricate detail here. I'm just adjusting the different color levels and everything here. And afterwards, I always like comparing side by side the photos. So sometimes you get so wrapped up in editing that you actually make the photo worse by editing, but by comparing what it came from to where it is now is always a good way to know if you edited it well. And here you can see a close-up detail of the actual final photo and the final photo itself that I got out of this project. I realized a lot of people like watching the things that I do on a daily basis: graphic design, photography, industrial design. Pretty much anything with design in the title, I do it. So definitely if you have any recommendations on what you'd like to see next, let me know. But one thing I'm going to start pretty soon is once a week I'm going to actually enter a design competition, and I'll actually film how I made whatever it is I made for that competition and the thought process of why I decided to do the things I wanted to do. Another thing that's coming up very soon is I'm going to Newfoundland, so I'll try to do a video almost every day, if not every day, and post that if I have internet in Newfoundland, and show you literally just me traveling around, exploring. We're going to go to abandoned places, places that have been unfortunately set on fire and now are recovering. So there's going to be a lot of cool stories there, and at the very minimum, Newfoundland is beautiful. So the landscapes, the photos, the things that I'll be able to do, it'll be a very interesting thing to watch. So definitely look out for those vlogs in early September. But all that being said, thanks again for watching. If you have any suggestions on what you want to see next, let me know. I love any suggestion. It would be awesome to see what you guys want to see.